All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to get inside the head of one of the most famous teenagers in all of literature, Holden Caulfield. Using his own words from J.D. Salinger's absolute masterpiece, we're going to try to figure out what's really going on behind all that famous cynicism and angst.
So let's kick things off with Holden's own introduction. I mean, right from the get-go, he sets the tone, doesn't he? It's brutally honest, kind of hostile, and super personal. He's letting you know right away this isn't going to be some sugar-coated story. He's here to tell us about the madman stuff.
So who is this guy, really? To get a handle on Holden Caulfield, we've got to try to see the world exactly the way he does. Okay, so if you really want to understand Holden's mind, you have to get familiar with his absolute favorite word, phony. Seriously, this is the lens through which he sees pretty much everything. It's his ultimate judgment, and he's not afraid to use it, even on his own family.
And here's a perfect example. Take his older brother, DB. Holden actually admires his writing. He loved his short stories. But the minute DB goes to Hollywood, to Holden, that's not success, that's selling out. He calls him a prostitute. For him, being authentic is everything, and Hollywood is like the world capital of phony.
Now, let's get into where all that madman stuff he mentioned really kicks off. His last few days at Pensy Prep. You know, just the latest in a line of boarding schools that he's been booted from.
This right here is absolutely crucial. So his old history teacher, Mr. Spencer, tries to give him this classic piece of adult advice, life is a game. But Holden, he is just not buying it. His response tells you everything you need to know about how he feels. For him, the game is rigged, and he's definitely not on the side with all the hot shots.
And this is how he deals with it. While he's sitting there, nodding along and pretending to listen to this lecture, his mind is somewhere completely different. He's thinking about this strange, kind of childlike question about the ducks in Central Park. It becomes this recurring symbol for his own vulnerability and, his search for answers in a world that doesn't seem to have it.
So you're probably asking, why is this kid so cynical? Where's all this coming from? Well, this next part gets right to the heart of it. It's where we see the incredible love and the deep, deep grief that's fueling his entire view of the world. So check this out. His roommate, this guy Stradlater, asks him to write a simple English essay for him. But does Holden write about a room or a house like he's supposed to? Nope. He chooses to write about the most meaningful thing he can think of. But this isn't just any old baseball mitt. It belonged to his little brother, Allie, who died of leukemia. In this mitt, it is just packed with meaning. It stands for everything Holden values, stuff like being unique and creative and smart. It represents this private, real world that hasn't been touched by all the phonies. It's a real, tangible piece of his brother that he keeps with him. And here's where it all just falls apart. Holden pours his heart and soul onto the page, writing about something so incredibly personal. And his roommate, this classic hotshot jock, just looks at it and says he did it wrong. Holden's most authentic, meaningful act gets completely rejected, so he rips the essay to shreds, and the fight that follows is what finally pushes him out of Pensy for good. So after that huge blow-up with Stradlater, Holden has had enough. He's done, he packs his bags, leaves Pensy in the middle of the night, and heads for New York City. And this brings us to this really bizarre moment he has on the train. He gets on the train, and who does he happen to sit next to? The mother of a classmate he absolutely cannot stand. So what does he do? Does he tell her the truth that her son's a total jerk? Oh no, he does the exact opposite. He launches into this whole series of just unbelievable lies. What's so amazing here is that Holden, our big crusader against all things phony, turns out to be a fantastic liar himself. But the really interesting part is why he's lying. It's not just to mess with her. It's partly out of this strange pity for the mother, to make her feel good about her son. It just shows how complicated he is. He hates dishonesty, but he also uses it as a shield, and sometimes, in a really weird way, as a form of kindness. All right, so Holden makes it to New York and holds up in this kind of seedy place, the Edmont Hotel. The plan is just to lay low for a few days till his parents get the letter that he's been expelled. But of course, he just ends up feeling more alone and out of place than ever. So he's just staring out his hotel window, and the scenes he sees are, well, they're pretty weird and kind of sad. It's confusing, it's sordid, and it basically confirms everything he already believes about the adult world. He decides the whole place is full of perverts and morons, and that he's the only normal person there. And in that moment, when he's feeling totally overwhelmed by all this phoniness and weirdness, who does he think of? His little sister, Phoebe. She's his anchor. She's the one person he can connect with who's pure and innocent and just makes sense. And this is where everything starts to come together. All these different threads we've been following, his loneliness, his love for Allie and Phoebe, this desperate need to protect innocence, they're all leading to this one single powerful idea that has become iconic.
He's just walking through the city, surrounded by all the usual noise and phoniness. And then he hears it. It's just a little kid walking with his parents, singing this song to himself. It's so real and unself-conscious that it just cuts through everything. And for a second, he's actually happy. And that misheard song lyric is what sparks the whole thing.
And hey, remember those ducks from the beginning? That question has been bubbling under the surface this whole time, and you start to realize it's not really about the ducks at all, is it? It's a metaphor for him. He's worried about vulnerable things, about what happens when your world freezes over, about disappearing.
And this is the whole thing, right here. He finally tells Phoebe his big dream. And yeah, she tells him he got the words to the poem wrong, but that almost doesn't matter. In Holden's mind, that misheard line is turned into his life's purpose. It's this beautiful, crazy idea that he could be the one person who saves kids from that terrible fall into the phony, complicated adult world.
So in the end, we find out he's been telling us this whole story from, well, some kind of hospital or rest home. And he doesn't wrap it all up for us with a nice, neat little bow. There are no easy answers. Instead, he just leaves us with this one last question, a question that perfectly captures the total uncertainty of his future, and maybe just a little bit of ours, too.